Enchanté, minasan. Before I start, I'd like to apologize for the lack of dev server footage, as I was busy with personal stuff so I couldn't hop on the dev server. Anyways, what would a day ending in the letter Y be without War Thunder pushing another rank 7 premium for this update? For this update, War Thunder has pushed onto us the Su-39, also known as the Su-25TM. Of course, this is followed by its tech tree counterpart, the Su-25T. Their first and most recognizable difference is the hunchback design, similar to the Israeli F-4E and F-4E Early's fuselage difference. This is because the Su-25T and Su-25TM upgrades are based off not from the original Su-25 airframe, but rather the Su-25UB double seat trainer. In this case, the rear seat was replaced by room for avionics. The larger nose cone houses the Precal laser rangefinder and designator and the Schwalbe optical TV aiming system. Both of them could carry the Mercury low light navigation and optical targeting pod for night battles that allows them to guide TV guided and laser guided weaponry in low light level conditions. Both of them have the new directional infrared countermeasures feature, first for fixed wing aircraft, but is present on helicopters like the Mi-24 and Ka-50. Essentially, from the rear, it spoofs the IR seekers of missiles so they go haywire when they track. For weaponry, they still retain the Su-25's Gish 30-2 gun with 250 rounds, the same sort of bombs and rockets, although this time with the high drag bombs included. The most interesting aspect of their weapons is the newest one they get, the 9K121 Vickr. This ATGM system needs no introduction, as you've loved it or hated it when it was introduced with the Ka-50 and Ka-52. Now it's coming to a fixed-wing aircraft that is the Su-25T and Su-39. Now I'm not going to jump the gun and say this is going to be broken because it's got a 10 km range, or it's going to be bad because the Su-25 actually can't hover and use the Vickers, but aside from that, the Vickers had been reworked as well, so it's going to be a bit less funny. So we'll wait for his live server performance to make a comment. For air-to-air weapons at the moment, they have the R60Ms. However, that is just for now, and we'll talk about that later. In its current state, the only difference between the Su-39 and Su-25T is the Copio radar pod. It's a radar pod with air-to-air and air-to-ground radar capabilities. Only the Su-39 has access to the Copio radar pod. Right now, it's really just a radar set for the Su-39 to detect and track air and ground targets. However, the Copio 25 radar upgrade is what allowed the Su-39 to fire the R-77 active radar homing missiles. Dubbed the Amramsky, the R-77 is present in most modern Russian aircraft like the MiG-29M, Su-30, and Su-35. The Chinese Su-27SK was upgraded to the J-11 standard in the 2000s, which could use the R-77. India also has a MiG-21 UPG with R-77 capabilities. The R-77 has a projected range of 80 to 100 kilometers at the earliest variants and 120 kilometers at the latest variants. Yes, that means when the R-77s and AMRAAMs and PL-12s drop, and Gaijin did say they will add them in future updates, the premium Su-39 will be one of the aircraft that will receive it, and the Su-25T and the tech tree will not. Yeah, I know that's a problem for future War Thunder, but even without R-77s, if War Thunder starts drip feeding their R-73s, the Su-39 will also get it. Also, let me segue for a bit, because I'm a bit autistic about the AMRAAM and the R-77. The PL-12 was supposed to be added to the J-8F, but of course they can't add it now, according to the dev blog, because it would be broken. The interesting thing about the PL-12 was that it used, apparently, the R-77 Seeker at the beginning with the early production variants. However, as the production variants progressed, they gradually switched to their own indigenous Seeker design, which I'm not sure is similar or entirely different from the R-77. But yeah, the PL-12 originally, supposedly, had the R-77 Seeker, then moved on to a more indigenous designed Seeker. Anyways, thank you for that. I just needed to get that out of my head. But this isn't the first time Gaijin popped in premiums that are better than their Tech Tree counterparts. In recent memory, you have the A5C, which was alright when it was added because there was a promise that Gaijin would add newer Q5s for the Tech Tree. However, what we got was the Q5L. Another case was the J35XS. However, that one is forgivable because what else would you add for Sweden as a premium, right? For tanks, you've got the OF40 Mark II MTCA, which again was alright because it debuted at 9.0 compared to the 8.7 that it is now. The point is, while these vehicles were technically better than their Tech Tree counterparts, they weren't that bad in comparison. But the Su-39 with the suite of weapons it can theoretically acquire, including anti-radiation missiles, is simply just leaps and bounds better than the Su-25T and can be purchased off the shelf. The last recourse for the line would be for USSR to get the Su-25 SM-3. However, its only advantage over the Su-39 is a thermal imager and a missile approach warning system. It does not get the Kopio-25 radar pod, however, which means it can't fire R-77s. Either way, we can't unpremium the Su-39 now, and it's just one of those things we'll have to live with in top-tier Grand RB, like the Panzer, the MiG-27K, and the Ka-50. In Air RB, it wouldn't be so awful considering it's 11.3, where it would meet aircraft with pulse Doppler radars like the Tornado F3, F4S, and the like. It's in Ground RB where it'll have a chance to shine and or be annoying depending on your perspective. We'll just have to see how it will perform when the update drops. Perhaps around next week at the soonest, or the week after at the latest. Anyways, thank you for watching as always. This is the Dr. MD, and God speed.